What's up, gamer? My name's Wuluko, and today I'm going to show you 3 different builds that I think will be interesting to try out in Path of Exile 2's Third Edict expansion. As a disclaimer, these will not be top 3 meta builds because I'm more of a silly build enjoyer, and we don't know what the new passive tree or gem info is going to look like, so I can't provide build planners for any of these either. These are just ideas to help get the creative juices flowing if you're unsure what to play when the new league begins. First and foremost, I know I said I'm not really a meta enjoyer, but the first build that I'll be playing myself when the league starts is a physical Crossbow Deadeye. I don't really think the crossbow stuff is going to be super meta, but from the looks of it, Deadeye is going to be really strong with the new deflect mechanic, so I wholeheartedly expect that to be one of the most popular classes of this league. But anyways, we'll have the full trifecta of shotgun, machine gun, and sniper rifle. In the 0.3 reveal stream, GGG showed off a new mechanic being added to high velocity rounds, and it actually looked really sick. Basically, if you use high velocity rounds against an enemy whose armor is fully broken, instead of consuming the armor break to deal bonus damage like it used to do, the sniper round now leaves armor break in place and applies a new debuff that causes any subsequent hits to deal a portion of the damage that the high velocity round dealt. This applies to every single hit while the debuff is active, no matter how little damage that hit will deal on its own. So if we use something like fragmentation rounds, the shotgun with 10 little pellets that all hit separately against an enemy with this debuff, that's 10 chunks of bonus damage from the debuff every time we fire. It looks like a fun interaction, and I'm really interested in trying it out along with the other general buffs to crossbow functionality. Another reason I wanted to try Deadeye was the upcoming rework of the called shots notable. Instead of allowing you to apply an additional mark, it causes projectiles to chain to marked enemies, and gives a new meta skill that allows you to choose a mark skill to repeatedly apply to nearby enemies. My first thought was that this would work like Blasphemy and just keep all enemies around you marked at all or most times, allowing projectiles to bounce between every enemy on the screen. If it does work like that, which I think is kind of unlikely, it should be a great skill for clearing monsters more easily, but it's more likely that it'll work instead by repeatedly marking individual enemies on the screen every so often, rather than applying like a debuff aura to everything nearby. If that is the case, then it may not be as useful for clearing, but it should still make marked skills a little less annoying to use since we won't have to manually recast them every time they get consumed or expire. Another Deadeye node getting reworked is the Eagle Eyes notable. Instead of removing the distance-based accuracy penalty, it will now apply 10 stacks of critical weakness to enemies when you consume a mark on them. If we combine that with Sniper's Mark in the called shots meta skill we just talked about, we can constantly consume and reapply the mark for free critical weakness, bonus damage, and frenzy charges in just about any situation. On top of that, we'll also be taking the Tailwind notables for extra speed and damage reduction. With armor-piercing rounds, we can build up stacks for it very quickly, no matter how often we get hit, and Tailwind's damage reduction should feel very strong with the already ridiculous amount of defense that we'll be able to get from the new Deflect stat. If you want to see how this build pans out, I'll be streaming 12 hours a day for every day of the launch weekend starting on August 29th at 4 PM Eastern Daylight Time, so you'll be able to see my full progression with it both here on this YouTube channel and on my Twitch channel at twitch.tv/Wuluko. The second build I'm interested in trying out during the Third Edict is a Hollow Palm Chronomancer with a heavy focus on locking down enemies. Our main damage skills are going to be the cold damage quarterstaff skills for chill and freeze buildup. Our first priority for Ascendancy is going to be taking Chronomancer's Apex of the Moment to slow all nearby enemies by 20% at all times. We'll also be running a Temporal Chains aura through the Blasphemy skill to slow them further and most importantly make other effects expire more slowly on them. And that's important because we'll be running the Chronomancer's ultimate command notable for the Time Freeze skill. Temporal Chains does in fact cause Time Freeze to last longer, so we'll get even more value out of an already incredibly valuable skill. Additionally, in the Third Edict update, Chronomancer is getting a new notable to replace the old Flood of Echoes node. The new Inevitability node now grants the Inevitable Agony skill, which curses all targets in an area with a debuff that stores a portion of all damage they take, then deals all of the stored damage at once when the curse expires. Temporal Chains will also extend the duration of this curse, so we can build up even more damage before it expires and blasts the enemy. The only problem with this setup is that Temporal Chains is a curse, and the new Inevitable Agony skill is also a curse. So we will have to find a way to increase our curse limit by 1 in order to use both, but that shouldn't really be too difficult to work around. I tried running a Quarterstaff Chronomancer through the campaign with as many of these mechanics as I could get in Dawn of the Hunt, and it actually felt really good by the time we got to the second half. Bosses were basically only getting in a couple of attacks between freezes, and that was before we even got Time Freeze. So I'm actually really excited to try out the full thing once I'm done messing around on the Deadeye that I'll be league starting. Build number 3 is a Mortar Cannon Warbringer. The new armor applies to elemental damage stat that's getting added to the warrior area of the tree is not that exciting since the armor mitigation applies before elemental resistance does, but what's more exciting is the change to Warbringer's Jade Heritage notable. Previously, it would gain 1 stack per second, give you 1% additional physical damage reduction per stack to a maximum of 10, and every time you got hit, you would lose a stack. Basically, anytime you benefited from the defenses it gave you, those defenses would get worse until the stacks built back up. In the Third Edict, the Jade buff from Jade Heritage will no longer lose stacks when you get hit, so you can just walk around with a permanent 10% additional physical damage reduction. The cannons summoned by the Mortar Cannon ability are considered totems, so by playing Warbringer, they can benefit from the new +1 to maximum summon totems that's getting added to the Answered Call notable, as well as get some extra bonus minions for each totem that gets summoned. I've never tried using the Ancestral Spirits before, so I don't know how useful they'll be without any more specialization into minions, but all of the spirit types are getting buffed, and they do seem to have some pretty good utility skills, so I suspect they'll be at least a little helpful. Lastly, behind the Answered Call notable, there's also the Wooden Wall node to make 20% of damage from hits go to your nearest totem instead for some extra mitigation. The cannons themselves use the Crossbow's grenade skills, which have been very good since the game released, and they've not really gotten any worse with this patch. Honestly, I think it'll be pretty cool to have a bunch of them sitting around spamming grenades everywhere with all the defense you can get from the Warbringer Ascendancy. But yeah, those are the 3 builds I've been thinking about most since the Third Edict's announcement. If you already know what you're playing when the league starts, by all means let me know in the comments. I'm always interested to hear what other people have come up with. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like and subscribe for more like it. Channel memberships are available behind the join button if you'd like to support the channel directly. Lastly, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in another video.